Hello and welcome to the Cat Collective. I'm Nina, I'm the channel for this channel, and something really interesting happened. Because I think it's funny, the last reading, I also had the cards on the table, and now I have the cards on the table as well, but for a different reason. This time I was recording the message and I was confident in going further with the message, and then my storage was full and the recording stopped. So I could only record, I was talking for a while until I noticed. And then I was like, well, now what? I really want to bring this message in a way. But maybe there's a reason for it, because there are several messages, right? That can come through cards. And I was thinking about maybe this message is a bit of a different one that wanted to be brought further. And it's this... So first, with closure, that's what I was getting, is that's the original message that I was recording, is that the manipulation is coming to an end. Because this is the manipulation card, and it's a manipulative energy that makes you connect the dots, but leaves also some parts, that you can add for yourself. It's you connect some dots, but there are some dots being left out, right? So there are some holes in the manipulative energy, because depending on which consciousness is focusing on the energy, it gives you a different message, right? Depending who's watching the energy or who is analyzing the energy, right? And that's the manipulation that you can put into the into connecting the dots. That's coming to an end. Maybe I was talking too much about it, but that's what I was getting with this. That's what I was. Well, I'm going to record this message as it came, and then go further with the different message also. So I think when you have been manipulated for a long time, it is like you are being in a cage. And you are being in a cage, and you get used to being in a cage. You get used to being manipulated. You have a structure in it, and it gives you security because, well, if you are a caged animal, or in this case a caged human, right? And you get fed with manipulation. Like you get food, for example, for every day, from the energy that is manipulating you, right? Or in this case, to make this a literal example, the hand that is feeding you is also holding you in a cage, right? Yeah, and you get used to it, and you get used to it so much that you accept it as your future, because you don't see a way out, right? You don't see the key to freedom, because freedom would mean that the cage would be gone, but also the regular food supply, I'd say, right? Because the regular food supply is a necessity for you to be kept inside the structure of manipulation. And the dragonfly is holding a key out of this, right? And this person is still in the cage, and it looks like it's fading, right? But it could be that you might be a little bit sad about that the manipulation is coming to an end, because you are used to being in the structure. This is a bin. You are used to be in the structure of manipulation, because you've been inside of this for so long that when you get removed out of this, when you open a cage and and you're the caged animal, and you are looking out, and you are hesitant of going out, because you don't know what's ahead, what freedom really means. And you could be overwhelmed because you are so comfortable in the structure of manipulation that, everything changes after that. When the cage is being removed, you don't get the convenience of having food every day from the energy that is manipulating you. Right? But that's where the freedom begins. When the dragonfly gives you the key. And it could be that you were in this energy for a long while also because it was intriguing for you. And it gave you something, The food, maybe. The food. I think it's the food. It's the food of when you're being fed and manipulated. And you are connecting the dots like that. You paint a picture inside your head. And the picture inside your head makes sense. And it's logical. And it's just a very nice place to be in. Because it gives you security. But is it real? Is it real security or is it manipulated? Right? And those are all different paths. And it could be that you are now at this point where you are very sad about being that the manipulation is coming to an end. Because you were used to this cage. And you thought maybe that this was freedom. Because it gave you comfort and a sense of belonging. Because when you're in a cage and you don't see a way out, of course, because you're in a cage and you accept that you're in a cage, then you make the best of it, right? You make the best of it and you just stay in the cage. And you're fine with it. And when it is being removed, everything is changing. The whole vision is changing. The whole life is changing because there's just a void. There's not the cage anymore. The cage is gone. The cage is gone. It gives you closure. Yeah. But it leaves you in a state of sadness because you now have to trust. That's the void. It's just, you don't know where you're going. You're standing on the edge of a cliff, but you don't know where you're going. And you don't know what's ahead. You thought that this was it, but it's not. You thought that the manipulation was it, but it's not. And now what? Now what? She's got wings. She's standing at the edge of the cliff. It could be that you are also we're having comfort in the belonging that you felt when you painted a picture that was manipulated, right? There's this, when you know what's ahead, when you can assume that, and when you are certain of this, even if it's not the truth, even if the whole picture that you painted for yourself was not the truth, because it was manipulated, you still want to believe that it was the truth. Because it gave you a structure that you were in. And when you are free, you don't know what to do anymore, right? Or you know that there's so much more ahead. And I think that's what's overwhelming you. It's standing at the edge of a cliff, seeing all the possibilities, and outside of a structure, you don't know what to do. There's this though. It's also like you thought you have learned it all. You thought you have arrived. You thought you had a plan. You thought you knew how it would be. But now, everything has changed because the cage is gone. And now you are like, you don't know what to do because you feel that there's so much more work ahead. And it feels like It leaves you sad because you thought you were arriving somewhere, but you just arrived at the edge of a cliff. You now know that you have wings. It's a good knowledge to have, right? I think you know, when you would think that this figure has been traveling from, up a mountain just to arrive at a cliff. Maybe you climbed up the mountain and you climbed, and it was a hard climb and it was so tiring, and now you're standing at the edge of a cliff and you've got wings. And you're standing there and you are not believing that you can fly. But you can. It's the same feeling like the caged animal, just a little bit more free. The interpretation. But again, you can fly. But you're standing there, you're looking at the other birds. And you're like, hey, they're flying. I cannot fly. That's what's happening when you are being left out of manipulation. You just you don't believe that your wings actually work, right? It could be that you are not believing in your own abilities. Maybe you're not believing that you are able to accomplish your wildest dreams, right? With this is like learning an instrument. It's like learning an instrument, knowing how much there can be learned, but standing in front of it and being overwhelmed by how much there's to learn, right? And also, not believing that you can do it. Maybe because you're just standing there, right? And watching how the other birds are flying. But you're just watching. And the longer you stand there and watch and see the birds fly away, the further the distance gets that they are. But it could also be that you are, with this closure card, and this card, she doesn't have wings, right? And she's in the middle of a dark forest, right? And there's this door that is behind her, but I think, it's still there. And it could be that, well, the sun is shining through, right? But she's just like, she's still walking through the dark forest. Because you're mentally still in the manipulation. You're mentally still there. You're mentally still in the past. You're still in the cage. And you don't know how to walk further. Because the manipulation gave you direction. The manipulation gave you structure. The manipulation gave you something that you cannot have when you are free. You were trusting in this energy, weren't you? And you were happy there because you made the most of it. And knowing that all the things you have to do to be free, they are so overwhelming because they go in so many directions. It's this, looking from inside the cage. Knowing that this energy is coming to an end, but not knowing how the path goes further and not believing it anymore, maybe because when you have been manipulated and you believed in the manipulation and it turned out to be not the truth, right? Then you are, of course, disappointed and sad that you believe this. There's one thing, but there's also a sadness that comes with it, because you don't know what to do with freedom from manipulation. You don't know. I think you have almost gotten so used to this big energy that needed closure that you now have lost the trust of creation, your own creation, without manipulation. It could be that you're still trying to find you're still trying to connect the dots. But that's the point, when you're connecting the dots and there's so much left out that you're not connecting because you cannot see the bigger picture from this, from if you look inside a monitor like this, or inside a TV, you just see this much. You don't see what's behind it. You don't see the room it is in. You don't see, everything else. You just are focusing on this part. But there's more to it, right? There's so much more to it. And you know that now, right? It's just a little bit saddening, because, not just a little bit, I think, because you know that what you thought, maybe you thought that was freedom, maybe you thought that was good, but there's a dragonfly that holds the key. And you didn't think that it would be a dragonfly. You thought it would be one of your kind. Whatever that means. You thought it would be one of your kind that is holding the key, but it's not. It's about trusting yourself and your own wings. But I think you're hesitant, right? Let's see. Okay, if you find a word, it's yours. Okay, willpower. Okay. There's something else that one's good. Yes. You, okay. Cycles. And that one. Enchantment. So willpower. Use your willpower to bravely overcome thoughts of compromise and defeat. Yeah, that's the point. When you are being manipulated, you are using your willpower to feed compromise and defeat. Right? You are, by being manipulated and buying into the manipulation and spinning it further, you are feeding compromise. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. Cycles. The wind blows, the wheel turns. We go through cycles just like nature, because we are a part of nature. Yeah. And what does nature do, though? Nature is free, right? A cage is a man-made structure. That's not free. You know that by now, I think. It's just for you hard to escape it, because you don't know what freedom feels like and how to behave and how to act freely. It's like becoming your own boss, your own leader, but you don't know how to lead because you've always been led. And now you're sitting or standing in front of the edge of the cliff. And you have to trust, you have the wings, but you don't know how to lead. You don't know how to fly. How could you, if you've been in a cage for all your life? How could you know that? Right? It's like someone pushing you. into freedom, but you don't know how to do it. You do. Yeah, it's like being pushed from the edge. And now what? Right? Now what? Enchantment. We are enchanted when the muses sing the art spirit into us. Yeah, that's what it was all about, all the time, right? You have been enchanted and you have been enchanting, but I think there's also something about this. You know your magic, you know. You are a muse that sings the art spirit. You are the muse that sings the art spirit. And you have the ability to enchant. It's just that it could be that you don't want to enchant alone, right? Because there are two people. And maybe you are, you know, it's easier when you're not doing it alone, right? It's easier because if someone could show you how to fly, how to use your wings, it would be easier a bit, in a way, right? Because, well, that's the point. You know the theory of it. You know the theory. But applying it into the practice is something that you are not doing because you are too overwhelmed by the freedom of it. It could also be this reluctancy of you don't want to do it alone. You don't want to do it alone. That's why you're standing there and looking at the birds. Because, look, the birds, they come in a pack, right? And you're alone. You don't want to be alone. You're watching them and you're like, it's almost like you're the last bird and you're trying to fly. But you're not trying to fly. You're just standing there and looking. And you know the longer you stand and look and wait, the further the distance goes and the harder you have to fly to keep up with the other birds, right? It's a paralysis state of the journey you have been on versus the journey you know you need to go. But the guidance is clearly that you need to believe in your abilities to fly. That's the main thing. But belief is one thing, acting on it is the other one, right? It could be that you are also considering to leave it all because you're too overwhelmed with everything. Let's see. The guidance is. We have some more cards. Already over 20 minutes. I hope it's helpful for you, the reading. Clearly it is showing you something, right? It's showing you that, well, you can do it. It's just, oh yeah, oh, okay. A new romantic cycle begins. Well, that's a development that you would welcome, right? Be bold and make the first move. It's about this. Be bold and fly, you know? When you're standing at the edge of a cliff, you are overthinking. And nature doesn't overthink. Nature acts. Look at the bigger picture. Yeah, that's the point with manipulation. You were just looking at the smaller picture, right? and you were comfortable with it. You were becoming so comfortable in the structure that you don't want to leave the structure. But the structure's gone. It's gone. It's over. It's closed. It's closed. Now there's the time of real action, you know, not just standing and observing, because manipulation is often just about connecting dots, you know, theories, but now it is about practice, practicality, doing real world things, right? It is about that, and only about that. And there's so much goodness ahead. Who would be scared about a new romantic cycle? A real one. Right? A real one. Not just a theory. A real one. Libra is justice energy, right? Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. The guidance is fly. And yeah, just fly and trust in nature, because you have no other choice when the cage is gone. Right? And it's gone, it's ended, it's gone. There's nothing more to it. You've attained the wisdom of the manipulation. There's some wisdom in it. And now it's about coming back. You know, walking up the mountain and then flying. And you do. It doesn't seem that you need to do it alone. There's something for you. It's just that you have to fly to get there. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful reading. Even though it feels a bit like uncomfortable. But it's a beautiful reading. You know, when an animal is free again, that's beautiful. Except that it's overwhelming, right? Yeah. So let's see who this reading is for. Scorpio. Okay. Additional infos in the letter box below, and see you next time. Bye bye.